All right, so hello, I'm Darian Bailey, and this is another Let's Create. If you don't know what Let's Create is, it's just a creative platform for me to create, and also with my friends to create as well with them. So just a fun thing to do. Whatever I'm feeling inspired by, I go by it, stand by it for that week. And this week, because I took a screen printing class, we are preparing for screen printing. Man, screen printing is crazy. Yeah, I got in there. It was, I missed 2 classes because I was sick. Yo, I had sat in there for like 3 hours, just listening to the instructor. He did a great job just explaining the whole steps. But man, it's a process. I'm gonna run some B-roll of screen printing while I'm talking about it so y'all can see just like the process of it. Like just going through the steps of washing a screen, creating a screen, using the emulsion, the stuff burns on the stuff. Is like a lot of science to it. There was like this sheet that I got that he gave to me. I'll show it again in the B-roll, but it was like a step-by-step thing. And there's so many steps, bruh. And it's like there's timing with it. Like you gotta wash out the screen, but you gotta do it quickly so the something burns onto something. I was very confused, as I should be, because screen printing is complex, but I didn't know it was that complex, you know. And it's hard to articulate it because I'm such a visual person of like how it even works. But I can see how it can be therapeutic because there's so much process to it, to start something and then go through the motions. And then once you get to the screen printing part, like you're actually like putting, I guess it's the ink on the paper, then it really becomes like, oh, I'm actually doing this. And it's like a really huge sense of accomplishment once you've gone through all those steps and it actually works. It's very interesting. I don't know. But what I got here for today, so as you can see, I got this drawing here of Kenpachi because I'm a huge fan of Bleach. And, you know, I always be doing anime here, at least on the channel so far. And so, yeah, we got this drawing here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trace over it on this transparency. So I take this transparency over the sketch that I did. And that'll be like, I guess this will come out as the screen print. I'm still kind of confused. I was told that if I color in black areas, it'll show up black in the screen print. I'm still kind of confused how that works. So I'm just going to go off what it looks like. I'm gonna just like sketch as much as I can and try to make it look nice. I got like these specialty pens too. I'm gonna show it in the B-roll. It's like the 8 pigment liner. Hopefully this works. I saw them using, or at least have it in the studio, so I'm praying that these work. I had used like in the class, I had actually started the sketch, so I used like an opaque pen. I had never seen one of those before, but hopefully this works. Yeah, I'm gonna just kind of like try to lock in and try to draw this out. Screen printing has really thrown my brain for a loop because like with every other art form, I don't know, you can kind of get to it. And even though there is a process, you can see the goal very quickly. With screen printing, it's a lot different. The process, you can't rush it. There's nothing you can rush. And I think it's gonna challenge my sense of not being patient. Like I try my best to be patient. I always tell myself to be patient, especially when I do art, but this is really testing me. So we'll see how it goes. I am interested in it though. I am excited. So I don't know. Let's lock in. Let's see what actually happens. Oh man. Tracing on transparency. I hate the sound. It does like squeak. Almost like nails on a chalkboard. It's kind of funny because when you're actually using ink pens, you want to tell yourself, it's like, okay, I want to be meticulous and not mess up. But the way to get the best line sometimes is to go fast. So it's the constant battle of trying not to mess up and going fast at the same time. I'm pretty sure I'm rotating the wrong way. Somebody's gonna say something. Why is he doing that? I'll be like, bro, I don't know. I could have just printed this out, on a transparency and using probably Illustrator, just putting in the image and image trace. But I like to trace. I like to feel the process. I'm a very analog type of person. Digital's great, but I always want to go back to the basics, to remember the basics and not forget them. I always say this is like my first one that I've sketched, or at least that I've done. So on the screen printing class, I used his example, which was like a pink T-Rex. I'll show it. It was awesome. But this is my first one where I'm gonna like do it myself. So every time I like do something new, I just want to like push everything that of all my thoughts out there to see. So when I mess up, I can like really lock in and figure out how I can do it better. You can't be afraid to fail. That's why I try to fail fast, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I feel like there can't be any parts of this where some of the line works is kind of like weak. Weak is in being like some of the opacity rubs off, or just didn't hit the transparency hard enough. Sometimes on paper you'll get away with that a lot easier because paper will absorb it more, but with this transparency it wants to rub off. It doesn't want to be on there. So yeah, I have to go back over a lot of these lines later. I'm really interested of how these cross hatches are going to show up in the screen. Are they even going to show up in the screen print is my question. That's why I'm actually trying to draw lines here, so at least something will show up, maybe. I'm guessing if I go over it when it dries, it can be a lot easier. Just because the opaque pen, I can go over that real easy right now. Something. All right, so we back for part 2, and I got some new wardrobe. Don't mind that, Spider-Man. Back here after screen printing, and as you can kind of see, it went well. We have multiple things. I'm gonna show it in the B-roll so y'all can see it up close. It was really cool. When I got in there, I prepped the screen, I put the emotion on there, and then put it in like this dark room so it could stay, I guess, not exposed to light. Then I took it out of that dark room, and then once I took it out the dark room, I put it on the light table, and then that's where the transparency came in. I laid the transparency down first, and with that transparency there were markings on it from like me like going over it, so I had like some smudges on there. I had to like cut the smudges out. The tape that I had put on it so it could stay to the paper so I could trace over, I had to cut some of those tape markings out, but it was fine because it didn't touch like the inside of the drawing. With that transparency, I then also went over it with, the teacher gave me like some black ink and like a paintbrush, so I went over that, some of the lines that could possibly not show up or weren't completely opaque. But basically I put the transparency down first, then I took the screen out with the emotion on it, put it right on top of that transparency, covered it up, put some pressure on it with some like books, and then turned the switch on, and then that's when the super bright light came on. And that's the process where it actually like burns the emotion or exposes the emotion to light. So then that transparency that's pressured on the screen, then that image burns onto the screen. And so I waited for 5 minutes for that process. Once it was burned on, I took it off, took the transparency off, and then I washed it out. And then what you see here is the end product of that. The image was then burned onto it, and you can see all the areas that I colored in black actually turned out to be the areas that weren't like, that didn't have any emotion left on it, which was really cool. And it came out with this really kind of cool design that I think is pretty dope. It came out awesome. Cause I was really nervous. I was like, bro, he was talking about the opacity, like if it's gonna work or not, and I got super nervous, but it did. So let it dry, and then it was time to screen print. Got a whole bunch of ink, poured it on there, and then had the squeegee type of thing, and then I just rolled over it. And then the end result was what you see here, which I did not expect it to turn out that nice. It is interesting with the cross hatching that I was saying earlier. Some of those markings didn't show up, and the more and more that, so I made 6 copies of the Kenpachi, and the more and more that I did, the less ink would kind of show up. And I'll show y'all some images of like the more and more I did, the weaker it kind of got, because there was just like less ink on the screen or inside the screen that I was using. And it was all about really putting some good pressure on. I think putting pressure on was a huge thing that I didn't realize. So like the first screen that I did, just the first copy, easy to do because there was so much ink. But then once you get more and more into it, you have to keep on putting more and more pressure because you're getting less ink. But it was interesting to see like the different variations of this drawing with less ink. So it was really cool. And then I had another version of it that was like on newsprint, and that was pretty awesome. I really enjoyed that. That was pretty dope. But yeah, a little close up of that. And then I tried to do it on different substances. So I did it like on wood. And wood was extremely hard because you just needed a whole bunch of more ink and you needed to put more pressure down. And I had a hard time doing that. And so I'm perfectly fine with showing the end result of that, which is Kenpachi has no mouth. So yeah, with wood, it's just harder to do. You have to have just more ink and more pressure. And so learning that's pretty cool. Also made a tote bag. Doing it with fabric is difficult in a different way. So like for instance, on the wood, you have to put more pressure down. On the fabric, you don't have to put nearly as much pressure down, but you have to be more precise with your movements, or it could easily just bleed on the bag or through the bag. So but yeah, it was really cool to do on both of those. So I can see I had a little successful run with screen printing, and then I also did some other things. So I did a little bit of a Spirited Away type of prints. That one didn't come out as well because the design was just smaller, so it was hard to get those designs in there. But it turned out okay. But this was an interesting experience. I encourage everybody to at least try screen printing once. Just because it can be therapeutic, but also it's just a different way to create. And it is possible to, really make somewhat of a business out of it, print a whole bunch of them. For me, I'll be honest with you, screen printing maybe isn't my thing. I just love editing too much, and I got not as much time as I would want to screen print, because it just takes so much time, and I have so many things I want to create. And not create them quickly, but like I said, it does challenge my process of I want to see something, I want to do it, and there's so much process to it. But I would love to do it kind of like on the side or just watch people do it and see their creative talent sometimes. This was a cool process. If you've done screen printing before, let me know. Put it in the comments. Let me know about your experience. What's your experience on doing it with fabric, with wood? Do you find it therapeutic? Yeah, just let me know. But this was a really cool experience. I hope y'all got something from it. It was live. Yeah. So thanks for watching.